Part 105. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 1052. Boo. Opening crit. Yulin silently pulled the high heels out of the woman's slender neck. He was holding high heels with both hands, like a fierce warrior with unparalleled hands. As expected, the newbies chose syringes as weapons, which broke into pieces when struck. This woman even accidentally pricked herself. The sharp bloody hole on the woman's neck was steaming out. The woman struggled, waving her hands wildly. But there was no order in this movement, it was just a subconscious attempt to grab something before death. Light red bubbles gushed out and screams were mixed together. Yulin casually picked up the necessary tool in the toilet, lifted it up and down, and sipped it. Don't you think you got this for nothing? A good 4-person team went to explore the exit, but you had to go to the toilet. If it were me, I couldn't hold it in any longer, so I just peed in my pants. Compared to dying, peeing in my pants is really, no shame. Yulin gave some education. The woman who was sucked tight by the toilet was struck by a double blow and soon lost her voice. After Yulin confirmed that the body was clinically dead, he returned to the hall. It seems that because the difficulty of the trial is too low, there are only a handful of useful props that can be found in this hospital. Yulin even looked forward to finding the mediocre series. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it. This made Yulin quite regretful. Not long ago, the 4-person team walked towards the hall under the friendly reminder of the kind-hearted cleaner NPC. Then there was a woman who couldn't wait any longer and said she needed to pee. The other teammates waited where they were. Of course, Yulin would not miss this opportunity. He hid in the compartment in advance. As soon as the woman squatted down, he sent justice from the sky. His hands and high heels danced like the wind, and he fought with the female apostle in the narrow private room. One blood was taken away. When returning to the lobby, the 3 remaining teammates were arguing. They apparently learned of the death of their bathroom teammate through a death broadcast. And the content of their argument was simple. One idiot said he wanted to go to the toilet to confirm the woman's death. The other 2 called him a fool. The 2 people calling idiots were the blonde veteran and another woman. The man with gauze wrapped around his hand and a needle pricked him at the beginning has an average psychological quality, and he still cannot accept the ridiculous thing that he was taken into the trial. He hated his mean hands. Nothing to order, yes no isn't it delicious? The quality of this batch of freshmen is average. Yulin hid aside and watched secretly. Yulin could only hear a few words such as idiot, who is stupid, you stupid, I am stupid, etc., but it can be seen from this that apart from the opening scene, except for the old man who typed Morse code next to him, who was pretty good, the psychological quality of the others was far behind that of his generation. The result, of course, was that the talks collapsed. The only woman alive cursed and rushed towards the door. The blonde soldier stretched out his hand to stop him, but stopped, hesitated, and made no sound to dissuade him. He actually sensed that there might be something fishy about the front door, but he had no evidence. As soon as the woman stepped out of the door, a ray of light swept across her body. The alarm sounded like a beep, 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 and with a tick, pull, the blue light electric current completely penetrated the woman from top to bottom. In an instant, the woman's body was scorched black. He collapsed softly by the door. Sent another one. Yulin secretly shook his head and said no. The living blonde soldier's expression changed, he cursed loudly, left the injured man and went straight to the 2nd floor. The woman's death triggered an alarm, and a group of security guards rushed out from all directions, pointing at the man and knocking him down with sticks. After beating for 3 full minutes, the injured apostle was finally beaten to death by a group of lively male security guards. So far, Yulin actually didn't do anything. There were 5 people in their team. One died at the beginning, one was stabbed in the toilet, one was electrocuted to death at the door, and one was beaten to death with a stick. Now the only ones who survive are the ones that Yilin likes the most. A blonde soldier. The blonde soldier was indeed professionally trained. On the way, he knocked down several lone security guards from behind with his bare hands. Yilin did not dare to get too close. With his current attributes and limited fighting skills, he could really fight to the death with a professional soldier under the same conditions. Even if he was retired, Yilin might not be able to fight him. Unfortunately, the blonde soldier never noticed that an undead was mixed into this trial. This is also the main reason for his failure. He sprinted all the way and finally entered the dean's office on the 3rd floor. The blonde soldier found a roll of strong rope on the 2nd floor. The dean's office on the 3rd floor had the only escape route, and he discovered it. This must be a real escape route. Victory is at hand. The blonde soldier gasped, looking at the dean's body on the ground whose neck was broken by him, with a ferocious look on his face, and gritted his teeth and sneered, "I will survive no matter what." About there. After Yilin guessed the opponent's actions based on the distribution of the security guards' bodies on the ground, she put on the security uniforms she had prepared in advance. Dangerous patients should jump out of the 3rd floor window and escape. Hurrah! A group of tough security guards walked out of the door without doubting his presence, and walked around to the back of the hospital. Yilin had known for a long time that there was a face recognition at the door, and without going through the discharge formalities, high voltage current would be sent out as soon as he went out, electrocuting him alive. In fact, this doorway is indeed an escape route. But the premise is that you must go to the nurse station and go through the discharge procedures. As long as the corresponding discharged patient information is registered in the face recognition system, you can be discharged safely. Yilin has given them hints, but the newbies can't grasp it. This can't be blamed on Yilin. The blonde soldier moved nimbly and easily climbed down the rope. But as soon as he landed, a group of security guards rushed out from all directions as if they had no idea, leaving the blonde soldier dumbfounded. He raised his head and saw a man in security uniform at the only escape window on the 3rd floor, smiling and waving to him. The blonde soldier recognized it. This security guard is clearly the friendly cleaner NPC who gave them a friendly reminder not long ago. Ah, this grass hassle. While calling me bastard, he understood everything. Dash. It's over. Yilin breathed a sigh of relief. At the moment when the last preparatory apostle died, the world stood still and everything was silent. On the blonde man's face, emotions such as annoyance, regret, hatred, and surprise were mixed together and completely frozen, resembling a vivid art sculpture. Yilin looked down at the scene of death with no emotion in her heart. I'm used to fighting, used to betrayal, used to pain. Yilin is also used to it, facing everything that is unfair with a cold eye. The world is unfair. People who don't deserve to die die, but people who deserve to die live well. If the world is fair, then they should be able to survive. They, all deserve to survive. It was my incompetence that killed everyone. Yilin murmured to herself, her tone hollow and pale. When he opened his eyes again, he was standing on a deserted land. The dark sky glowed with hazy gray light. In front of him, there was a dark pillar of light that shot straight into the sky. In the light pillar, small words were flashing. Yilin took a closer look. The content of the text is the customs clearance settlement of the undead. Return. Welcome to the border of the dead. Killed apostles, 5 people because they completed the group destruction, the points are at 5. The current total points are 5 points. Remaining resurrection coins, 100. Current level, level 1. Performance evaluation grade for this task, B. Attention, 0%. Congratulations on completing your first undead mission. The Mall of the Undead opens. As the number of layers increases, more functions will be opened. There are still 24 hours until the next mandatory mission. Please increase the number of layers as much as possible. Looking forward to your next performance. Yilin held her chin, pondering over the content of the customs clearance settlement not long ago. The words floating in the black beam of light have disappeared. Instead, there was a line of numbers condensed from green flames. The numbers are jumping from second to second. 2359:59. 2359:58. The countdown begins until the next mission. During the first undead mission, Yilin summed up several experiences and also discovered a few strange things. Let's talk about experience first. In the Apostles' Trial, the undead cannot obtain anything else except the points reward for killing the apostle. He held the murder weapon and high heels in his hand before leaving, but he could not bring them back. This seems to mean that every undead only needs to focus on killing during the mission, and don't think about things that are not there. It is all fantasy. In addition, whether it is directly or indirectly, as long as the head does not die directly in the hands of other apostles, it will eventually fall on the head of the undead and become the points of the undead. However, whether it is a direct kill or not should be linked to the performance evaluation level. Yilin completed the group destruction, but in terms of performance evaluation, it was only a meager B grade. However, whether it is A or B, it seems that this evaluation will not directly affect the undead's mission income. So, what is the use of this evaluation? Performance evaluation. Performance. Attention. Looking forward to your performance. Suddenly, Yilin thought about it carefully and couldn't help but be shocked when she remembered several oddities in the text. After a while. Ha ha. Hee hee. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Yilin couldn't help but throw her head back and laugh sadly. That's it? That's it? That's it? It turns out that even the killings between us are just put on the screen of the gods for viewing and entertainment, just for entertainment after dinner, isn't that all? Ha ha ha. Smile and smile. Yilin knelt on the ground and hammered the ground hard. This smile lasted for a long time. When I look up again. An undead soul once named Yilin looked up at the cage with a faint gray light in his empty, dark eyes. Those eyes were ignited with light green flames, eerie and sinister. One day, I swear, I will return to you double the suffering and pain that we have endured. A mere god. Infinity Throne. Author, Bai Yi Shueshi. Chapter 1053. Yilin roared for a while. Just calm down. There's no point in yelling anymore. He smiled, both self-deprecating and weak. Yilin gradually understood why Sakyamuni Buddha and Mara were yearning for transcendence in that world. This feeling of being restricted is uncomfortable. But where is detachment? Outside the world? No, it's not. Yilin has witnessed the scene outside the world with her own eyes. It is neither transcendence nor paradise. Since outside the world is not paradise, then where is paradise? Once upon a time, Gilgamesh said that 11 paradise was created by Xiao 11 to create paradise. Yilin sighed, lying on the ground and looking up at the void above his head. According to the description of the light beam, this is the boundary of the dead. A place similar to a resurrection point or a cozy safe house. However, the underworld atmosphere here is nothing like warmth. Yilin is an undead spirit at this moment. After completing the first task, he gained eyes, ears, mouth, and nose, could speak, breathe, and stare. But when he stretched out his hand, it was still dark, almost like a black man. He was probably still in a mental state. Not afraid of cold or famine, he lay on the ground doing nothing. The so-called rest time is nothing to rest about, it's just to feel better mentally. When the countdown passed 5 hours, Yilin is bored and goes out to explore. The so-called boundary of the dead is just a barren land. There was cold soil under his feet, and the soil was gray. He grabbed a handful, and the fine sand-like soil quickly slipped through Yilin's fingers, and in the end the soil did not return. On the ground, it dissipated invisible in mid-air. The small hole he dug on the ground was soon filled with mysterious power. It is said to be land, but in fact it is more like an island. At the edge of the island is an endless abyss. Looking down, there is nothing in the darkness. Will you die if you jump? Yilin was thinking about whether to waste a resurrection coin on an experiment, but he soon gave up the boring idea. He didn't think that there would be such a boring way out of this closed junction of the undead. Well, he jumped down. Yilin felt that she was a little nervous. You died. His vision went dark, and a line of red words appeared, ruthless and cold-blooded. 1 second later, he was resurrected in the middle of the junction. You are dead. Please don't commit suicide at will. Remaining resurrection coins, 99. No pain, no sinking feeling, nothing. In this poor place, even the matter of death has become so boring. Next, Yilin could only wait. Yilin was even looking forward to the time when she would carry out the mission again. He began to understand why the rest time between tasks was only a short 24 hours. Because, in this terrible underworld environment, if time goes on for a long time, the undead will be driven crazy in minutes. He recalled the crazy posture of undead Li Chang'e. Yilin began to feel the same way. By the way, we just opened a mall of the undead. Yilin bounced off the ground, his fingers slid down, and he didn't find the passage of the mall. Then he came to the ever-changing black light pillar, stretched his hand in, and took out 2 handfuls. Oops, I have it. The operation method is similar to that of a computer, and it seems that the underworld is also advancing with the times. The jet black light pillar emerged and condensed into words with green flames. After clicking on the corresponding text, there will be different instructions. The things sold in the undead mall seem to be related to the number of layers. The text in most of the grids is very light, and there is no response when clicking on it. The props sold in the mall are all sold in the form of prop cards. Currently, Yilin's temporary card slot only has 10 slots. Even if you use undead props to top up, you must carefully consider it. Good steel must fall on the blade. Yilin currently only has 5 points, so there isn't much she can buy. Next page, next page, next page. Oh, yes. Random initial weapon card. Grade ordinary. Effect randomly obtain a normal weapon. Please note that once used, the normal weapon cannot be turned into a card again. Note it is recommended to try multiple times, as unexpected surprises may appear. Worth 1 point. Yilin bought 2 and put them into the temporary card slot. In the mall, cards of different grades can be judged intuitively from the brightness of the green flame. The stronger the flame, the higher the grade. For example, Yilin saw 1, Take Advantage card. The effect of this card is that before entering the trial, it can appear on the trial map a short period of time earlier than the apostles. A full 30 points. Super expensive. This advantage card seems to have an upgraded version. Advanced Head Start card, Super Head Start card, Top Head Start card, the time for early entry are respectively longer period of time, super long period of time and in a long time. Long ago. Yilin wouldn't dwell on things he couldn't afford for too long, so he continued to scroll down. After flipping through for a while, Yilin reached the last page of the mall. His eyes hurt from the dazzling green flames. Yilin covered his eyes. In shock, he struggled to see clearly the props burning in the raging fire. Apostle Core Data Fragments, 1/10. Grade Unique. Effect No need to look, it's your core data fragment, ID, 1010. Explanation: the reason why you are looking at this prop is not to tell others that you can do it, but to tell everyone that you will definitely try your best to get back what you have lost. Note, each core data fragment has a unique number. This fragment can only be redeemed in the undead mall on floors 0-9. If you miss it, you will regret it. This. It turns out to be here. His data. Yulin had heard the word core data from Green. He probably understood the meaning. In other words, by gathering all these data, he can restore his human form. Probably. No matter where he was, he could not give up hope. While visiting the mall, he also discovered a way to reach the next floor. The method is very simple. 10 points can be redeemed for the upper level pass to reach the next level. It's not difficult. The 24 hours of garbage time passes quickly. Yulin entered the next mission. To Yulin's surprise, his second mission was in a pure white room. The room has 4 doors. Except for the door, the walls, ceiling, and floor are all white and flawless. They are neither soft nor hard when you step on them, and you don't know what material they are made of. There are no mirrors in the room. He looked at his palms, picked his forehead, and tried punching the wall again. Boom. My hands hurt. It seems that I am not in the right state of mind now. In order to complete the task, Hell gave him a temporary form. The mission in the underworld did not give Yulin much time to mentally prepare. A black beam of light appeared in the room out of thin air. The gap between black and white made Yulin's vision feel intensely uncomfortable. But he still stared at the light pillar, and a green flame suddenly ignited in the dark light pillar. The flame swayed and condensed into strange words. Now I'll give you 100 heartwarming resurrection coins. The heartwarming resurrection coin given temporarily cannot be brought back to the boundary of the dead. After the heartwarming resurrection coins are consumed, the resurrection coins will begin to be consumed. Resurrection coins return to 0, obliterated. Please complete the main mission, find the only safe house among 100 surprise rooms. Points rules: when arriving at the safe house, if the remaining heartwarming resurrection coins are greater than or equal to 80, you will receive add 30 points. If the remaining heartwarming resurrection coins are less than 80, and if the remaining heartwarming resurrection coins are greater than or equal to 50, you will receive end points. 20. If the remaining heartwarming resurrection coins are less than 50 and greater than or equal to 20, you will get add 10 points. If the remaining heartwarming resurrection coins are less than 20, you will get add 1 points. You can return at any time by saying abandon the mission in your mind, and 10 points will be deducted to return to the boundary of the dead. Friendly reminder: negative points will not be erased. Looking forward to your performance. After the text disappeared, the light beam quickly shrank axially. Finally, it turned into a thin black line, disintegrated and dissipated. Mission, start. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, Bai Yi Xueshi. Chapter 1054. Show that you are paralyzed. Yulin raised her middle finger, with a smile on her face that was as warm as a friendly greeting to God's mother, but she cursed fiercely in her heart. After scolding, Yulin felt much better, and he returned his attention to the task in front of him. While thinking about the task prompts, he randomly selected one of the 4 doors, put his hand on the handle, and prepared to turn it open. Anyway, I will give away heartwarming resurrection coins 100 times. Etc. Yulin was stunned. He picked his forehead. Laugh. I used too much force, and the blood vessels in my scalp were torn, and blood spurted out. But he doesn't care about these details. The moment he opened the door, he noticed something. Why do you want to give away 100 heartwarming resurrection coins? He vaguely felt that giving away 100 heartwarming resurrection coins seemed to be contrary to the original intention of the resurrection of the dead. Is the resurrection tournament really a chance for the dead to resurrect? No. Just looking for fun for them who are above me. Therefore, after thinking about these 100 heartwarming resurrection coins, Yulin found that this was simply unnecessary. The only one. Yulin let go of the doorknob, sat down, lowered his head and pondered. After a moment, Yulin couldn't laugh or cry. Isn't it really that simple? In his past trial experiences, he was accustomed to looking for loopholes in the rules and getting in and out of the rules. This time, it's no exception. He noticed a detail in the mission prompt. Among 100 surprise rooms, there is only one safe house. Only one. So, is the room he is in now considered a safe house? Yulin sat down on the spot. In the room with its pale walls, there was no sound, no entertainment, no clock. A place where even the passage of time seems to be deprived. Just staying in such a place is a very painful thing. Yulin silently counted 10,000 seconds in his mind, but there was still no change in the environment around him. But because of this, Yulin is more certain of her own thoughts. Funny mentality, right? There is no time limit for this mission, which means that no matter how long he stays here, he will not violate the rules and there will be no punishment. So Yulin simply lay down, changed from a sitting position to a sleeping position, and fell asleep. In a daze. There was a ding in his ear. When he opened his eyes again, he had returned to the boundary of the dead. He. Yulin smiled happily and walked towards the black light pillar. In the light beam, a clearance evaluation emerged. This means that Yulin won and passed the level. Easy and simple. Playing with the rules with him. Ridiculous. I play with the rules. Return. Welcome back to the land of the dead. There are a total of 100 heartwarming resurrection coins remaining, 0 coins are consumed, and the points gained are at 30 points. The current total points are 33 points. Remaining resurrection coins, 99. Current level, level 1. Performance evaluation grade for this task, E. Get additional rating, boring wisdom. Attention, 0.01%. There are still 24 hours until the next mandatory mission. Please increase the number of layers as much as possible. Looking forward to your next performance. Yulin's evaluation of clearance once again showed that evaluation and benefit were diametrically opposed. His clearance income was perfect, but in terms of performance evaluation, he received the lowest E grade. Bland wisdom. Yulin's eyes were as cold as iron. He stared coldly at the green flames in the black beam of light, which gradually turned into ashes and dissipated in his field of vision. He took a long breath and quickly extinguished the anger and hatred that was burning like a flame in his heart. Before there is no strength and no opportunity for revenge, unnecessary anger and hatred will only affect one's own reason. In this cruel game, if he wants to escape from hell alive and return to his world, he can only use reason, extreme reason, to make every step. Never mind. Yulin rolled her eyes, raised her middle finger, smiled, and greeted the god cordially. Boredom makes you numb. The level of attention seems to have increased slightly. A breakthrough of 0 was achieved. Yulin's goal now is clear. No matter what, you must save enough points to redeem Apostle Core data fragments in the mission before entering the 10th floor or above. The level promotion of the undead seems to be similar to that of the apostles. It's probably just like in the game, where apostles and undead of similar levels are matched with each other and fight each other under some kind of fair, just and open rules. Or a fight between apostles, or a fight between undead, or even a fight between undead and apostles. This world is like a huge Colosseum. Whether they are apostles or undead, they are just trapped in the Colosseum. Huskies who have had their claws and sharp teeth removed are left with pure stupidity, just for the entertainment of the gods. Let's talk about this mission again. Why did he get a performance rating of boring intelligence? The reason is simple. Yulin figured it out. If this is a game, it is very likely that there are many gods watching in the dimension of this world. They were laughing, they were drinking tea, they were bragging. If you brag about someone you like, you will definitely not survive the next time. As for Yulin's last mission, according to common sense, the undead would open the door under the temptation of 100 heartwarming resurrection coins, and then be tortured to death by various traps and surprise rooms, and continue to die miserably. Various ways of death can bring different pleasures to the above. The conventional way to clear the level is to return to this room while constantly dying and exploring, and then clear the level. 100 temporary resurrections, 4 doors, 100 rooms. These elements secretly contain insidious psychological hints, forcing the undead to put down their vigilance, in the spirit of it's not bad to give it a try. Anyway, I gave you 100 temporary resurrection coins, it should be fine, it won't hurt, I'm just stuck at the door and can't get in and other thoughts, so I opened the door and explored everything behind it. If he really went to open the door, according to Yulin's estimation, a mere 100 temporary resurrections would definitely not be enough. Boring tasks. Yulin lay down again and waited for the next mission. There is actually a hut on the deserted junction. There wasn't even a bed in the hut. So there is no big difference between lying on the floor and lying in the house. The house is just like a decoration. After several mandatory tasks have passed, Yulin is becoming more and more familiar with the rules of the resurrection tournament. He discovered something. Not every mission is a trial of invading apostles and fighting each other with apostles. The aloof gods seem to be looking for fun in different ways. Yulin's last mission was very interesting. As soon as he appeared, he landed in a narrow passage. The passage was a downward slope with an angle of about 30 degrees. The passage could barely accommodate a normal-sized human lying down. It was less than 2 meters wide and there were abysses on both sides of the passage. Yulin didn't have time to observe, and a big iron ball hit him behind him. He could only run forward with his head buried in it. As he ran, a pit appeared with spikes in it. He started to jump, and the iron ball behind him continued. As he chases and chases, there are more and more traps in various styles. As he jumps and jumps, he feels like a plumber wearing a red hat, playing a real-life escape game, which is particularly exciting. This mission alone cost Yulin 3 resurrection coins. There was nothing that could be done about it. After dying 3 times, Yulin discovered that this type of mission was purely about throwing the undead into torture, without any opportunistic methods. Yulin died 3 times, 2 times because she was crushed to pieces by the big iron ball PZI because she didn't run fast enough. Once he fell into a deep pit and was stabbed by thousands of thorns and died. The pain could not bring any pain to Yulin. These are nothing compared to the pain they experienced. Yulin even began to enjoy the process of death. When the process of death is no longer painful, then the death itself can also bring him insignificant pleasure. In the cruel missions again and again, Yulin earned a lot of points. He bought a few prop cards that were better than nothing and filled the card slots as backup. He spent a total of 90 points to buy 9 upper-level passes, raising his level to the 9th level. Certainly. Whether it is the 1st level or the 9th level, Yulin's intuitive experience has not changed much. The place where the dead meet is still so hellish, desolate, and cold. The difficulty of the task has been slightly increased, but the degree of increase is still within Yulin's acceptable range. He planned to earn enough points to exchange for Apostle Core data fragments and then enter the 10th level. It would be great if there were books to read. I don't mind even if they are boring novels. Yulin lay on the ground bored, her expression numb and empty. He even wished that his precious rest time could be compressed from 24 hours to 1 hour, which was just right. After finally running out of time, the scene before Yulin's eyes changed and he was forcibly teleported to the next mission again. A gray-brown haze enveloped the manor. Yulin opened her eyes. The field of vision in front of me is very narrow, with only 2 medium-sized holes providing a barren field of vision. As he breathed, the pungent and disgusting smell of rust hit his nostrils. He used to pick his forehead, but he hit it with a thud on the thick iron head. Crash dash. As he moved, his limbs made the sound of chains clashing against each other. The sound echoed in the darkness, and combined with the smell of rust in Yilin's iron head, it seemed particularly eerie. The vision in front of him was strange. Yilin felt as if he was wearing a pair of polarized glasses, and everything in front of his eyes was red. Role-playing mode again. Yilin was looking at her body curiously. His hands were very big and powerful, and his arms were wrapped with blood-stained gauze. The blood on the gauze had long since dried up. Yilin couldn't tell for a while whether the blood on the gauze belonged to him. In the distance, across layers of walls, there was the sound of a rotten wooden door being pushed open forcefully. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 1055. When the sound of the door opening reached the depths of darkness through the walls, the reminder of the undead appeared in front of Yilin's eyes in time. This is the cursed Macmillan Manor. There once was a bloody butcher who committed heinous crimes here. Yes, you are the butcher now. Later, Macmillan Manor was cursed by a mysterious power, and it became a cursed place where evil spirits inhabited. The butcher turned into a terrible murderer under the curse. There is no doubt that you are the murderer. 5 ignorant travelers, tired and exhausted from the journey, panicked and broke into the manor unintentionally. Kill them as best you can. According to the number of travelers killed, points are obtained. Kill 0 people, get points -20, kill 1 person, get points -10, kill 2 people, get 0 points, kill 3 people, get points add 10, kill 4 people, get points add 10, kill 4 people, get points add 10, kill 4 people, get points add 10, points add 20, if 5 people are killed and the team is destroyed, the points add 40. Haha, I look forward to your performance. After reaching the 9th floor, the points awarded for tasks also increase. But correspondingly, if the undead wants to avoid deducting points in the mission, the number of kills required has also increased. When Yilin performs a confrontation mission for the first time, she only needs to get first blood and no points will be deducted. But in this task, 2 heads are needed, so the undead will not be deducted points. A mission to confront the apostles. Yilin was speechless. The tasks performed by the undead are completely random. The undead have no human rights and cannot make free choices. By the way, the early apostles are similar. To sum up, we can draw 1 point, gods and the following are all ants, and no one has human rights. Yilin silently recalled the task prompts. Simple, clear, and easy to understand. He is a murderer. The 5 apostles are little lambs. Just fight each other and that's it. Yilin moves around the room. He didn't hesitate. Go ahead and complete the mission. The room seemed to be a cellar, and the killer's eyes seemed to have night vision function. There was obviously no light in the cellar, but the light red vision in front of her allowed Yilin to barely make out the outline of the furnishings in the cellar. Huh. And weapons. Boom boom boom. Yilin walked over slowly, his hands and feet were in iron chains, and he made a crisp metal knocking sound as he walked. Obviously, there is a reason why the murderer has chains on his hands and feet. Firstly, the BGM can create a terrifying atmosphere when the murderer appears. Secondly, this sound effect is a reminder to the apostles. It moves slowly, walks with BGM, and is huge and difficult to hide. This is probably a benefit for the apostle. It is indeed a low-level trial. Even the villain has such obvious weaknesses. Yes, he is such a weak scumbag villain. Yilin quickly accepted this cruel reality. Whether it is the undead side or the apostle side, to a certain extent, the opposing sides can achieve a balance. In this way, it will be a test for both sides. It's good this time. As an undead, Yulin doesn't have to pretend to be a murderer and directly attacks Mensin with a heavy blow. There is a weapon in the corner. Yulin picked up the weapon while thinking about 36 new ways to play with it. Ding. There was a ding in the ear. Sound effects for key props. The murderer's weapon is a bloody hook. It is obvious that the blood on the gauze on the murderer's hand has dried long ago, but the murderer's weapon seems to have just been worked and is still dripping blood on the ground from time to time. The hook is semi-curved and has a very sharp tip that can easily stab someone to death. At the end of the hook, there was a bundle of rolled chains attached. When Yulin took the weapon, the chains also made a clinking sound. Bloody Hook of the Sacrifice. Level Epic. Durability 20/20. Effect: lock a fixed space coordinate within a range of 20 meters and throw out the sacrificial hook. If there are no obstacles between the hook and the target coordinates, the hook will definitely hit the hook located at that coordinate point after 1 second. Target, and force the target to enter the imprisonment state and pull it in front of the user. Explanation: as long as you hook successfully, the prey will let you do whatever you want, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. This. Let's not talk about the effect first. Just seeing the word epic in the equipment level, which seemed to glow with an alluring purple light, Yulin was stunned for a while. It's actually epic? Are the benefits so good? Isn't it? Is this wave trying to trick the undead or the apostles? But if you think about it carefully, there is a huge difference between the upper limit and the lower limit of epic level equipment, and there are various bonuses. It does not mean that taking epic level items is equivalent to being invincible. Yulin ignored the task and carefully considered the effect of this epic piece of equipment. The attributes of this piece of equipment that can be called epic should be the negative effect of forcing the target into the imprisonment state, unless the apostle has super powerful passive life-saving skills at this level, such as my 10 deaths the body's blood is forcibly locked. Otherwise, wouldn't this mean that one hook will kill everyone? Yulin subconsciously wanted to scratch the dead skin, but she caught the iron head instead. In fact, on the way to the equipment, he tried to take off the iron head. He couldn't pick at the dead skin and it really made him suffer from obsessive-compulsive disorder. But the difference between ideal and reality is that the iron head seemed to be welded to the murderer's head. Yulin almost tore off the head but could not take off the iron head. Yulin grabbed the iron head, and the harsh sound of rustling echoed in the cellar. He continued to think. With a range of 20 meters, there is a time delay of 1 second. Even though it is difficult to operate, it can force the target into a state of imprisonment under the premise of accurate hit. It is truly an epic prop. The saddest thing is that it cannot be taken away. But Yulin, who has seen many legendary items, now thinks epic level is just average in his eyes. He secretly thought it was a pity, but in fact he didn't think it was too pity. He removed the one at the end of the chain. The iron ring is fastened to the shoulder. There are many broken chains, candles, ropes, iron pieces, nails, and other messy materials in the cellar. He studied for a while, and Yulin didn't see any special function of these junk so far, so he could only give up for now. Yulin gathered her mood and walked out of the cellar slowly. Tremble, fear, crawl, newbies. Hunting time. Woohoo! The 5 apostles sat in front of the campfire with mixed emotions. 4 men and 1 woman. The strange thick fog in this manor was like a living thing. There was clearly a sinister wind blowing around them, causing bright sparks to fly above the campfire. However, the thick fog in the manor was not blown away at all. Sun. On the contrary, because the light of the bonfire is reflected on the mist of varying densities, it presents a creepy effect, as if there are murderous monsters moving in the darkness with their teeth and claws. They clearly came in through the main door just now. But when they crossed the gate, a thick fog covered their eyes. After the trance, when they came back to their senses, They were sitting in a row in front of a bonfire, looking at each other. The woman was wearing thin clothes, which made it easier to move. She had also tried hard to survive the 2 trials until now. But even if the woman was mentally prepared to some extent for what was about to happen in the trial, when a lonely and helpless woman, in a gloomy environment, still subconsciously wants to seek support. The woman moved closer to the bonfire. No one noticed that the real direction she moved was to the tall and well-proportioned man next to her with handsome and free-spirited features. The man next to him was wearing a decent white shirt, with 2 buttons on the shirt casually unbuttoned. At this moment, the handsome guy was staring down at the bonfire, with his right hand casually stroking the smooth bangs on his forehead. His pensive expression and deep eyes made him laugh. The woman had an inexplicable affection for the handsome man. The handsome man raised his head and took a breath. He looked at the other 4 people and sighed secretly. The last trial left a very deep impression on him. Compared with the 3 big guys who shined in that man-eating mountain, the 4 people in front of them were simply ordinary and no different from ordinary people. Why doesn't this damn trial have a team mode? Otherwise, he can use 18 kinds of skills to hold on to the boss and not let go. Everyone looked at each other. Usually there will be people on the mental side who take the initiative to speak. This time, for the first time, the 5 of them fell into an awkward silence. The handsome man had no choice but to moisten his throat, and his magnetic voice attracted the attention of the other 4 people. Time is urgent. According to the rules, before each trial officially starts, there will be a short period of time for the apostles to prepare. I believe you have all noticed the task prompts before entering, right? The main mission has also been released, very soon, plain and simple: escape from Macmillan Manor. Although the mission prompt states that there is a murderer in the manor, the trial is full of pitfalls. We cannot completely rule out the possibility that besides the murderer, there are other hidden dangers. As soon as the words fell, the expressions of others changed drastically. But this was not the first time anyone had entered the trial. Soon, the others adjusted their breathing and listened quietly. In a small temporary team, if someone is willing to take the initiative to analyze the current situation, that is a situation that others are happy to see, even if this person is not necessarily mentally inclined. But looking at his handsome, confident, and talkative attitude, he must be on the spiritual side, right? The handsome man smiled slightly and continued, since it is an escape mission, the real difficulty of the trial should be finding a way to escape. The murderer should have certain conditions, otherwise when we first step into when we were at the manor, a knife was stabbed through us, and we were all dead, and there was no way we could chat here. So, I personally suggest that you make friends with each other, divide into 2 groups to explore, and try not to be alone. Once a certain group finds a way to escape, take action immediately. The ideal result is, everyone leaves alive. Having said that, do the rest of you have any suggestions? This analysis was so clear that the other 4 people suddenly became enlightened. At this time, the woman stared at the handsome man's profile. She always felt that the man's face was very familiar, as if she had seen it before somewhere. Have I seen you somewhere? Haha, the man said calmly, patted the non-existent dust on his body, and stood up. That model figure of 1.8 meters made him the center of attention among the 5 people. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. It should be normal for you to be familiar with me. Although I am average in the industry, but he is still somewhat famous, and from time to time he appears on TV shows, Time magazine, FHM and other impurities. The man's pear-shaped smile is enough to charm all living beings. My name is Li Changa. Infinity Throne. Author, Bai Yi Xueshi. Chapter 1056. Li Changa? Is he the popular A-list young star Li Changa who is so handsome but whose acting skills are beyond words? He was actually called to become an apostle? Everyone's expressions changed, and their moods were so complicated. I never expected that in this cruel world, people would also look at faces. Or is it that this little fresh meat who looks like a little fresh meat on the surface actually has a deep hidden true ability? Li Changa's analysis was very clear and logical. 5 people are ready to form groups. They added each other as friends. Let's do this. In line with the principle of respecting and caring for women, I personally suggest that 2 of the men be in a group, me, you, and Miss Dong. When introducing each other, everyone also got a preliminary understanding of their respective strengths. Li Changa claims to be agile. As for Dong Jin, Miss Dong is a spiritual person. The skill she currently masters is a control skill called Brothers, Please Stay. According to Miss Dong's description, the effect of her skill is to specify a target and shoot a transparent. The silk thread can have a certain deceleration effect as long as the distance between Miss Dong and the target is no more than 10 meters. Li Changa pondered for a while. In this type of trial, Miss Dong's deceleration skills might have a certain restraint effect on the murderer. You can't generalize between people. Li Changa has seen real bosses, but in his opinion, Miss Dong's control skills are only average. Really average. Better than nothing. As for respecting ladies and caring for ladies, of course they are just words. He, Li Changa, has no shortage of ladies, so naturally he doesn't need to take careful care of her. The 2 groups began to carefully explore the foggy manor. The manor has been visibly abandoned for a long time. Worn wooden boards, overgrown weeds, and rusty containers are placed in a mess. There are also some scrapped agricultural vehicles lying on the ground. Li Changa had experience. He found a curved iron rod and used it as a weapon. The iron rod has an attribute bonus, strength at 0.1, which is a bit stronger than the whiteboard equipment. Did you hear? While Li Changa and another power apostle were rummaging through the boxes and cabinets looking for something, Miss Dong, who was waiting on the side, shivered inexplicably and couldn't help but look deep into the manor. There was a faint sound of clang, clang, clang coming from there. Bang. 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 The sound of metal banging grew closer. But perhaps because of the complex scene in the manor and the thick fog that obscured the view, even if they heard the sound of the iron locks, it was difficult to accurately identify where the strange sound came from. It seems that the difficulty of this trial is not too high. The power side apostle, who has not yet been named, pondered for a moment, and then pretended to smile casually. Let's go quickly, this should be the special effect before the murderer appears. If you pay a little attention, you should be able to find that the intervals between these sounds are about 3 seconds. It is very likely that this represents the murderer's moving speed, which is not too fast. Before the murderer arrives, we can completely predict the murderer's position. There's no need to crash. Zi. Before he could finish his words, a harsh sound of metal friction suddenly sounded behind him. Then, the apostle on the power side felt his chest tighten, and a bloody iron hook pierced through the thick fog and circled in front of his chest. Tie him tightly. Damn it! The apostle on the power side was filled with astonishment. He wanted to call for help from Li Changa and Miss Dong, but for some reason, the moment he was entangled in the chains, he couldn't move. He couldn't even move his fingers or stick out his tongue. Grass. The person who called me grass was Li Changa. Behind him, the soil in a realistic cemetery was swirling, as if it had been bombarded by a missile. Miss Dong looked at the endless graves behind Li Changa in amazement. She was surprised and happy. She thought Li Changa was about to unleash some kind of super skill. Help! The power side apostle screamed crazily in his heart, but he watched helplessly as Li Changa released the forward swing of some powerful skill and pulled Miss Dong in the opposite direction without saying a word, turning around and running away. Desperate, he was dragged into the thick fog. At the end of the chain, a murderer who was more than 2 meters tall, covered in blood-stained bandages, and wearing a ferocious triangular iron head on his head, was waiting for him quietly. The murderer raised his hook and hooked him on the neck. Kill one easily. Yilin was not very happy. Because of this hook, he lost it a little bit. But the hook's judgment seems to have a certain correction angle. Even if his hook is thrown crookedly, he can still use a little force after reaching the target coordinates, pull it, and drag the prey in front of him. After using it once, Yilin felt that she had mastered the key to throwing the hook. Throw, pick, press, pull. Yilin already knows how to play this mission. Thick fog is the natural protective color of the killer, but the killer moves slowly. After being discovered, it is difficult to move in a straight line to keep up with the escape steps of the newbies. Therefore, the best way to hunt is to minimize the noise made by the chain, then sneak up near the prey, throw the hook, pull it over, and kill it. Moreover, there is another benefit to being a killer. The thick fog cannot affect the killer's vision. In the killer's vision, there will be some hazy little red dots. The outline of the red dots is the location of the prey. Time to hunt. The murderer let out an inarticulate roar of excitement. In the manner, the frightened crows screamed and fled in fright. At the same time, Li Chang'e took Miss Dong and fled in the opposite direction in panic. In the process of escaping, Li Chang'e soon regained his composure and calmness. Compared with the white-haired girl from the last trial, this murderer is much gentler. The difficulty of this trial was not as high as expected. Li Chang'e quickly reported the appearance of the murderer and the death of his teammates to another group of teammates. It turns out to be a hook. Another group of teammates, after Li Chang'e shared the information, subconsciously ignored the death of their teammates and focused on the killer's skills. "Did you get anything there?" Li Chang'e asked. "We found a gate that looks like an exit here, but the gate uses an electronic lock and there is no electricity here. There is probably power generation equipment along the direction of the cables, and we are preparing to rush there during the call." The other party was panting heavily, he seemed to be running fast. Suddenly, another exclamation came from Li Chang'e's channel. "Hey, I found it! There is a task prompt. There is a fool's repair toolbox here. There are 2 generators. If you want to leave the manor, you must find another repair toolbox and repair the 2 generators located in the manor. You can open the exit." The death of his teammates no longer matters. They discovered the escape route, and with the mission tips, this should be a reliable escape route. There is only one killer, and he moves slowly. The difficulty of this trial is really not high. The murderer is nearby. I hear the sound of chains. The murderer is huge and can use the terrain and some narrow gaps to slow down the murderer. I feel like we can even fight back. You think, if we kill the murderer, will the clearance rating be particularly high? Teammates chatted privately in the channels. They ran around the manor several times and gradually mastered the rules of the killer's appearance. The apostles began to take advantage of the terrain and use classic kite-flying tactics against the murderers lurking in the thick fog. There's something special about this freshman class. Yilin was shaken for a while, and he knew that the killer's action pattern was almost figured out. Originally it was not a very difficult trial, and the apostles did not have many abilities. What to do? Yilin squatted in the thick fog, lowered her head and thought. Although the newbies were let go like this, Yilin only had a few points. But as a former legendary, it would be a bit embarrassing if he couldn't even handle these newbies. Woohoo! Yilin wanted to laugh, but a weird hoarse laugh came out of his mouth. He returned to the cellar, took out the candles, iron chains, iron pieces, nails, boards, fire breakers and other garbage, packed them up, carried them in his hands, and moved them around the manor. Although the killer's movement speed was limited, the flexibility of his hands was within an acceptable range, otherwise Yilin would not have been able to throw the hook out. The new foursome are still struggling to find the second generator. It was luck to find the first one. The manor was very big. It would take a certain amount of time to explore if you wanted to find the second one. Even if they have mastered the movement rules of the killer's hook is extremely intimidating, and they dare not be so unrestrained. Of course, counterattack is just talk. This is not a game. Once it fails, but if it really kills people, no one dares to risk their lives. Bang! The duo of Li Chang'e and Miss Dong are exploring the manor. During their exploration, they unexpectedly discovered a warehouse containing many commonly used farm tools such as sickles, nails, maces, whips, wooden horses, and hammers. Li Chang'e and Miss Dong were so excited that they quickly replaced their guns with new equipment. Li Chang'e chose an iron-nailed mace, which was very easy to swing, while Miss Dong had limited strength and could only choose a small sickle as a self-defense weapon. At this moment, near the warehouse, in the thick fog on the left, the sound of metal falling to the ground suddenly sounded. The murderer is coming. They didn't bother to notify the other group and hurriedly left the warehouse and walked in another direction. But Li Chang'e and Miss Dong had just walked a few steps. In the direction they were heading, the sound of chains sounded again. Could this boss also have teleportation? Li Chang'e didn't believe in evil, so he quickly took Miss Dong and ran in another direction. After running a few steps, there was another sound of metal falling from the thick fog in front of me. They were surrounded by a mere murderer. This is impossible. Miss Dong was so frightened that she turned pale. She was trying to grab Li Chang'e to find a sense of security, but she unexpectedly missed the opportunity. Wow! Bloody hooks pierced out of the thick fog, and the next second, Li Chang'e was dragged into the thick fog. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, Bai Yi Shueshi. Chapter 1057. Yulin. Li Chang'e. At the end of the thick fog, the two met face to face, in close contact. The killer's iron head is close at hand. It seemed to be a little bit perverted. The ferocious iron head came a little closer, and the smelly breath blew out from the gap of the iron head, which slapped Li Chang'e in the face. Li Chang'e wanted to cry but had no tears. He knew he was handsome, but what he never expected was that even the boss coveted his beauty. As for Yilin, of course, it is impossible to covet Li Chang'e's beauty. He froze. Yilin felt that her vision was not good, so she moved closer to the prey's face, trying to get a closer look to see if the prey looked similar to a certain bad guy in her memory. The moment the hook was thrown out and the prey was struck, Li Chang'e twisted his waist, not knowing whether it was due to quick reaction or luck. Yulin's hook was originally intended to pierce the prey's chest and then pull it back. Failed. You can dodge this, you are awesome. Yulin raised her hand and lowered her hook. The murderer who had been holding back for a while was ready to kill another person. But when Yulin saw Li Chang'e's face clearly, Titu was stunned. Li Chang'e? How could he be in such a low-level trial? Murderers have no human rights. It cannot speak. Yulin tried to say a few words, but in Li Chang'e's ears, it turned into a hoarse and sinister smile. Between the two of them fighting to the death. The imprisonment effect has passed. Li Chang'e was stunned and broke away from the chains. He thought he would die. But he didn't expect that even the murderer would bow down under his suit pants. Damn it, it turns out that with a high charm value, you can really do whatever you want. Li Chang'e understood clearly in his heart, but he did not continue to struggle with the murderer. He turned around and ran away. But Yulin was still thinking about a serious question. Li Chang'e, why did he appear in the low-level trial? No. In the iron head, the murderer's scarlet eyes flickered slightly. Are we all junk eliminated from every time artifact? If he wasn't wrong. A terrifying speculation emerged in Yulin's mind. If the facts are really as he imagined, then the large number of undead in the world of the undead can be explained. Z1, can you really travel freely through every timeline? So, can he convey some kind of message to Li Chang'e now and change the past? Yilin thought of this possibility. If he kills Li Chang'e now, what will happen to Li Chang'e in reality? The timeline is messed up and Yilin has a headache. He could not deduce what impact Li Chang'e's life and death in this trial would have on the future he perceived. Or perhaps, he appeared in one of Li Chang'e's trials as an undead, as a murderer, and has already become part of the past. But what if he killed Li Chang'e here? So what will become of the past? Yilin boldly considered this possibility. When the murderer inexplicably stops moving, Li Chang'e returned to Miss Dong panting. Miss Dong is currently huddled in the gap of the container, holding a sickle in her hand and not daring to breathe out. When Li Chang'e appeared, Miss Dong was stunned. "Ah! Why aren't you dead yet?" "It's not important, let's go find the generator quickly." Li Chang'e himself was confused. He could only reasonably speculate that it was because his charm value was too high that the murderer coveted him and he hesitated. To put it simply, it means not willing to give up. Li Chang'e contacted another group. "We just encountered a murderer. He shouldn't go to your side so quickly. You need to find him quickly." Another group responded cheerfully. "Just in time, we discovered a suspected warehouse here and are preparing to explore it." Of course they are happy. Now that the murderer has found Li Chang'e, it means that their group is safe for the time being. There is only one murderer in the manor. With the murderer's movement speed, it is impossible to move the location so quickly. By the way, be careful, I seriously doubt this murderer. Li Chang'e recalled the weirdness just now and thought about it. Since everyone has no reason to compete at the moment, it is a cooperative relationship, so he expressed his thoughts. "I suspect that the murderer has the ability to move quickly." "You are clearly a bastard. The murderer is so awesome, how can we still survive to this day?" Another group of teammates dismissed Li Chang'e's concerns. "Extremely suspicious. It's all an illusion. Don't scare me." They reasonably dispute this possibility. The duo followed the cable and entered an empty warehouse. "Really? The generator is here. This trial was stable." They scurried around, looking for a dumb repair kit. According to the last experience, the toolkit and generator are not too far apart. Bang! The sound of deadly chains sounded. In the empty darkness, there seems to be a murderer ready to move. The two of them were so frightened that their scalps were numb and they were sweating coldly. Yilin was a little distracted from the task. The appearance of Li Chang'e made him ponder the reasoning about the timeline. The trial he was in, this trial involving Li Chang'e, was obviously not the time before he left Tiankai Guild and stepped into the door. But earlier, when Li Chang'e was still a low-level rookie. In Tangle. Yilin walked towards the warehouse where the second generator was located. "Don't waste the points you deserve." He used some scraps in advance to install many small mechanisms throughout the manor. A mechanism similar to a timing tool. Like Voldemort, he squatted in front of the warehouse door. Sure enough, after hearing the sound of the small mechanism, the duo hurriedly escaped from the warehouse before they could find the repair kit. Yulinpi twitched the corner of his mouth with a smile, and without saying anything, he took out a disguise card. The disguise card can change into an imagined appearance within 30 seconds. But the usage is a bit complicated, and the face pinching time only lasts for 10 seconds. The precision of the disguise has a lot to do with the user's imagination. If the face is not pinched well, it is better not to use the disguise card. After all, Yilin stood there with a nondescript and even crooked face. The shrewd apostle would treat her as a monster and chop her down without saying a word. But Yilin was so familiar with Li Chang'e that he had long wanted to beat him. He could even imagine Li Chang'e's look of needing a beating with his eyes closed. The duo heard the sound of chains ringing from all directions. Only now do they believe Li Changa's absurd conclusion that the murderer may have mobile skills. This is not ridiculous at all. Otherwise, it would be impossible to explain. The movements they heard from all directions were either that the murderer could teleport, or that there were dozens of murderers hiding in the manor. As soon as the duo stepped out of the warehouse door, they saw the expressionless Li Changa, his face exposed in the thick fog, smiling and waving to them. It seems to be saying, "Come here quickly." Then they passed. I said, "Li Changa, why did you come over to join us without saying a word?" Yulin hit him on the head with a hook. Even the hard skull could not withstand the sharpness of the epic hook. As soon as the hook fell, Mensin died. Grass. Murderer. The other member of the duo, in shock, suddenly reacted and activated his skills. Bounce. He jumped high into the air. Oh! A little skill to increase your jumping ability. As soon as Yulin saw another cute newcomer jumping up, she could guess the effect of the opponent's skills at a glance. It's clear at a glance. Since it is a jump, there must be a time to land. Throw the hook. Mensin, who landed on the ground, could not escape the sight of Lao Yinbai's undead. Yulin calculated the landing time and threw out a hook to pull him back. Double kill. Miss Dong was shocked. Just a second ago, she received a voice message from a teammate in another group, "We have a traitor. Be careful of Li Changa." Be careful about Li Changa? Why? Li Changa was walking in front and felt Miss Dong behind him stop. He couldn't help but turn around and asked, "What's wrong?" "No, it's nothing." Miss Dong forced a smile on her face and pretended that nothing happened, but she was frightened because the portraits of the other group of teammates had dimmed in the friend list. All dead. But what does this have to do with Li Changa? The two of them have always been together, never leaving each other. Although she was puzzled, after Miss Dong told Li Changa about the matter, Li Changa looked at his friend list and his face was also distorted with shock. Now in this trial, they are the only ones alive. The killer's methods are endless, beyond Li Changa's expectations. Quick! Let's find the generator quickly. The place we haven't explored yet is probably over there. The two hurried in the direction of another generator. Although they did not know the exact location of the generator, another group of teammates would contact each other from time to time before they died, describing the places they had explored. Li Changa found the right path after comparing it with the scenery in front of him. Many people thought Li Changa was a coward, but no one knew that Li Changa's thoughts were even more delicate than those of many spiritual apostles. Now that he knew the way to survive, Yulin was no longer too lazy to wander around looking for prey. The prey was almost killed, so he decided to wait for the rabbit near the warehouse. Really? Li Changa and Miss Dong crouched forward cautiously. They wanted to avoid the sight of the killer. But what they don't know is that the killer's field of vision is different from that of normal people, with night vision and the ability to see through walls. Yulin threw out a hook and pulled Li Changa over. The tomb special effect appears again, with chrysanthemums falling all over the sky. As Li Changa's emotions rise and fall, the special effects around him are filled to the brim. If it were any other apostle, he might be shocked and confused. But Yulin was too familiar with Li Changa's skills. In the later stage, Li Changa was able to develop different uses of rhapsody, but in the early stage, Li Changa was just a slightly better looking sandbag. Yulin took his time and made various hook gestures in order to convey some kind of message. What Li Changa didn't expect was that the murderer held him down and gestured with his hook on the ground. Rub. Yulin wanted to convey a message to Li Changa through writing, but just when he was about to write his name on the ground, he felt a sharp pain in his head, as if he had been cut open in the middle with a knife. Similar. In Li Changa's eyes, boss is going crazy. He took the opportunity to run away. Grass. Yulin really didn't believe in evil, so she threw out another hook. He is now accustomed to Li Changa's pace and rhythm, and every hook is accurate. Li Changa now wants to die. Although the murderer was reluctant to kill him, he couldn't bear it mentally. The hook went out, the murderer squatted down and held his head, and Li Changa ran away. The murderer used the hook again, Li Changa was hooked again, and the murderer continued to howl. This process, in front of the warehouse door, in Miss Dong's eyes, went back and forth. The scene was staged more than 10 times, and Li Changa passively jumped between Miss Dong and the murderer. When he was hooked for the last time, Li Changa was completely numb. He calmly escaped from the murderer's hook and returned to Miss Dong. What Li Changa didn't expect was that Miss Dong looked ferocious. She finally stopped pretending, showed her fangs, picked up the sickle and chopped off Li Changa's handsome face. You are indeed on the same team as the murderer. Infinity Throne. Author, Bai Yi Xueshi. Chapter 1058. No one expected the outcome of this trial. The murderer is holding his head and thinking about life. Miss Dong and Li Changa are fighting each other for inexplicable reasons. Li Changa couldn't explain clearly at all. Not to mention, there is absolutely no need for a reason for the apostles to fight in the trial. The atmosphere in the manor was oppressive and gloomy. After all, Miss Dong is a newbie who has only experienced one trial. Even though her attributes are slightly higher than normal people, her mental quality is not up to par. At the end of the trial, her mentality collapsed. When Li Changa jumped horizontally repeatedly, she mistakenly thought that Li Changa and the murderer were a group, and gritted her teeth and fought with Li Changa to the death. The mighty Tianlong. Li Changa had no choice but to fight back. The bright golden light gathered into a 5-clawed golden dragon and engulfed Miss Dong. Miss Dong's vision was blurred by blinding special effects. Li Changa hesitated, whether to forgive her, or to make a last-ditch attack. Yulin threw out the hook half-heartedly and caught the astonished Miss Dong. This hook was very precise. The hook passed through Miss Dong's chest and was cruelly hooked into the thick fog. Chopped. 4 kills. Yulin completed 4 kills. But he was not in a good mood. He understood something. The undead are under surveillance from beginning to end. Whenever the undead want to reveal their identity or anything about hell, they will suffer unbearable pain. If Yulin guessed correctly, once he actually wrote his name on the ground, he would be instantly obliterated by some force the moment he finished writing his name. So Yulin gave up. While repeatedly hooking Li Changa, the hook's durability ran out. Broken. Yulin stepped into the thick fog with low spirits. Li Changa stared blankly at the murderer dragging a heavy chain and disappearing into the depths of the fog step by step, puzzled. At the end of the Aniwo Mountain trial, when the level was cleared and settled, his charm value unexpectedly increased. Since Li Changa became an apostle, although he has always felt proud of his super high charm value, deep down in his heart, he still hopes that he can punch a boss and become a powerful man who can push everything. Li Changa and a lonely undead once named Yulin passed each other in this manner. Yulin could not reveal her identity and origin to Li Changa. And Li Changa didn't know that the murderer who had let him go repeatedly would be the future president of the Apocalypse Guild, and he swore that he would hold her tight for the rest of his life. What's more coincidental is that in this trial, Li Changa accidentally awakened to the benefits of increasing his charm value, which allowed him to go further and further on the road of no return as best actor Li Changa and never look back. But after returning, Li Changa always felt a swishing coldness behind his back, as if he had brushed against something, a strange illusion. Return. Welcome back to the land of the dead. Kill 4 apostles and add 20 points. There are currently 201 points. Remaining resurrection coins, 94. Current level, level 9. Performance evaluation grade for this task, A. Get additional ratings, it gradually becomes interesting. Attention, 1.2%. There are still 24 hours until the next mandatory mission. Please increase the number of layers as much as possible. Looking forward to your next performance. Yulin looked at the flame text dissipating little by little in the black light beam, feeling completely calm in her heart. Although this mission did not complete the group destruction, these 20 points are like the last straw that breaks the camel's back. Ah no, it is the last piece of bread that breaks Li Changa's life. If he earns enough, he can exchange for Apostle Core Data Fragments points. No hesitation, just redeem it. He had already bought the lower level pass in the Undead Mall, and the reason why he stayed on floors 1-9 until now was just for the Apostle Core Data Fragment. This is probably an important item that every undead must redeem. If you want to transform from the undead back to yourself, this item is indispensable. A card with golden light appeared from the light pillar and landed in Yulin's hand. He crushed it without saying a word. The card turned into golden light dust and merged into the surface of the Black Shadow Man's body. Yulin groaned. He felt his own heartbeat, his own breathing, and his own rhythm again. Apostle Panel. The finger swiped down. This action was so skillful that it made people feel distressed, but the desired panel still did not appear. Undead panel. Yulin moved her fingers upward. Sure enough, there is. Is Xioxia symmetry freak? The opening methods of the undead and the apostles are actually symmetrical? Yuren vomited. But he still looked at his panel properties honestly. His core data was divided into 10 fragments in total. It's just a piece of cake, and it's a fool's errand to try to restore it to its peak state. Excluding the poor strength and agility attributes, his mental attributes returned to 8.9, close to the state of a mental lock. As for skills and enhancements, strengthening is absolutely useless. Attributes are not up to standard. There is one more skill, disaster-ridden. Yulin felt comfortable now. It turned out to be disaster-ridden at full max level. Other skills and enhancements are all a mosaic. Of course, there are many types of mosaics. Most of the skills are thick code, but free method is thin code. Thin code is good. Yulin flicked his wrists, and 2 circles of light appeared between his wrists. Free method Thunder Surge. He jumped up high on the barren land, and with a snap of his fingers, a small bucket of thunder struck down, creating a pit with black smoke on the ground. It's just that the consumption was a bit scary. This thunder surge hit him and almost drained his poor spiritual energy. That means. Yulin's expression changed, and she sat there silently recovering her spiritual energy. After returning to full strength, he activated the freedom method again and slapped his chest with the palm. Out of body, he went from the chrysanthemum to the forehead and got in between the eyebrows. Entering the hub by familiar routes, the familiar scenery made him sigh. However, what was once a lake of a certain size is now only a small puddle. The small white flower, which represents luck, is almost withered, leaving only a bare stem. The coconut tree, which represents charm, has only one bud left. The little bats that used to hang upside down on coconut trees were nowhere to be seen. Green. 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 He called several times in the hub, but failed to summon Brother Green. Yulin thought for a while and changed her approach. Green, Green, I deserve a beating, come out. Don't I still owe you a debt? Hurry up and collect the debt. If you don't say anything, I'll assume that you allow me to default on my debt, right? Do you believe I'm really bad? Flick your legs 100 times, 100 times, do you believe it? Come out if you dare. You, come here. Yulin hooked her index finger toward the sky. He jumped up and down in the hub and cursed for a long time, but no one responded. By the way, Green said that their names, even if spoken, are unbearable disasters for humans. If it is usually called Green, it will probably not be able to sense it, unless it calls its real name. But that guy Green said that if you shout her name blindly, You will die miserably. However, Yilin chuckled. He was already an undead now, so what else was there to be afraid of? Then, Yilin took a deep breath. Staring into the depths of the void, as if looking at a distant bat across the world, he said, "The Lord of Nightmares." In an instant, his core was invaded by bloody light mist. Yilin's eyes turned into an endless blood red. He sat on the ground and waited quietly. In the sky, the ferocious and twisted souls of the innocent were crawling, meandering, and wailing, forming a terrifying light and shadow. At the end of the light and shadow, the innocent soul moved and formed a human face with an evil smile. The man's face was pressed down to the ground, and Yilin looked up without fear. If someone were to look at it from the side at this moment, the scene would be like a dwarf raising his neck to kiss the bloody giant in the sky. A huge hand made of innocent souls appeared on the side of the person's face, accompanied by a harsh wailing sound. I saw the huge green raising an index finger to his mouth. With her intriguing expression and this classic Riddler action, she seemed to be saying to Yilin in this way. SHH-. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 1059. Yilin suddenly jumped up from the cold soil. He didn't know when he fell asleep. Yilin shook her head, feeling dizzy, as if she was drunk and had broken pieces. Yilin was confused and vaguely remembered that she seemed to have had a nightmare. In the dream, he seemed to be ravaged from top to bottom, from bottom to top, 100 times by a giantess that was 1,000 times his size. Yilin shivered subconsciously, her whole body felt cold and her scalp felt numb. Could it be? Yilin gradually recalled the contents of the nightmare, and her pale face turned blue and purple. He no longer dared to blindly shout Green's name. That is not a question of whether he will die, but it is more terrifying than death. Yilin quickly cleared her mind of unnecessary distractions. At present, that guy must not be touched. But, at the end of the dream, what does her gesture of raising an index finger mean? Yilin has not yet resumed his official status as an apostle. Originally there should be a tattoo of a skull with a sleeping bat in its left eye on his chest, which was a combination of the apostle's mark and the nightmare mark. After Yilin obtained the nightmare mark, one of Green's clones could live there. Now that the mark is gone, Green's clone has also disappeared without a trace. However, even though Green's clone disappeared, judging from her reaction, it seemed that it had not completely disappeared. She was paying attention to herself in another strange way. Attention. Could it be that that guy is lying comfortably on the beach, basking in the bloody sunshine, drinking the bubbling nightmare black tea, eating the nightmare sandwich cookies with the wailing ghosts, watching himself with relish? Struggling in hell? Yilin took a deep breath. Try to calm yourself down. Green's shush seemed to mean that he was telling him to keep his mouth shut and remain silent. Assuming that Green is on his side, then staying silent and pretending that Big Green is not there should be of some benefit to him. Yilin admitted that she was gambling. But now that he has fallen into such a miserable state, how can he break the situation without taking a gamble? In the realm of the dead, Yilin gets familiar with her new attributes as soon as possible. There is no storage space for the undead, and he has completely lost contact with his three little mother spirits. In the hub, the entrance to the spiritual residence is blocked by a light curtain visible to the naked eye. Let alone entering, it is impossible to even take a peek. In fact, Yilin guessed the reason based on the appearance of Li Chang'e. In other words, he guessed the true face of the boundary of the dead based on his previous experience of fighting the undead. Whether it was undead Li Chang'e or undead Zhao Yulong, when talking to them, from the few words they inadvertently revealed, Yilin had already felt that the timeline where they died seemed to be his rebirth. Before, in a world ravaged by the Knights of the Apocalypse. In other words, undead Li Chang'e and undead Zhao Yulong come from another world. Let's consider the opening words of the mask flashing across the sky when he first stepped into hell. Yulin already has enough evidence and confidence to prove that her idea is right. Speaking of which, a long time ago, Meng Meng and I discussed what the so-called time travel is all about. Yulin sighed. I still remember that he had heard an interesting theory before. Suppose there are two forks in front of you, go left or right. The moment the idea of turn left or turn right is born in your mind, two worlds will be born in an instant. Assuming you really go to the left, the world to the right will be destroyed in an instant. One choice, one thought, can destroy a world. In other words, in the world born of countless choices among countless possibilities, someone who is destined to die at a certain time and moment will be brought here and become undead. This is why the opening line says, "You are the garbage eliminated from countless time artifacts." Xiao 11 also said, "Countless time artifacts have been born in this world." Everything clicked. But isn't this a mess? Although Yulin doesn't know how Xiao 11 did it, or the principle of extracting the data of a dead person from a certain possible timeline and throwing it into hell to fight, is far beyond what Yulin can understand. However, only this absurd explanation can connect Yulin's experiences over the years. Return. Welcome back to the land of the dead. In the Poison Swamp battlefield, you killed the undead a total of 232 times, among them, terrain kill, double kill, triple kill, quadruple kill and other battlefield honors were bonused, and the total points gained were at 617 points. There are currently 1,325 points. Remaining resurrection coins, 89. Current floor number, floor 39. Performance evaluation grade for this task, S. Get additional rating, average. Attention, 32.3%. There are still 24 hours until the next mandatory mission. Please increase the number of layers as much as possible. We are all looking forward to your next performance. Yulin's eyes swept over the flame text calmly. When the flame text disappeared, he looked down at his clean palms, which seemed to still have the warmth of crushing his heart with his bare hands. When he closed his eyes, he could even recall the feeling of the hot, sticky blood slipping away from his fingers, drop by drop. Yulin no longer remembers how many people she has killed. There is no need to remember it. Everyone here lives to fight and lives to fight. Yulin silently opened the Undead Mall and spent 1,000 points to redeem the 4th Apostle Core data fragment. The golden card fell into her hand and Yulin crushed it decisively. When the golden light spots were like drizzle, moistening her skin, Yulin clearly felt that she had regained a part of her former self. From the 9th floor to the 39th floor, Yulin conducted hundreds of missions. The number of undead he has killed with his own hands has exceeded 4 figures. As the levels increase, the types of undead missions become more and more complex, and there are more and more types. It has been a long time since he encountered the mission of invading the Apostle Trial. The mission of the Invasion Apostle Trial is only a very small part of the many types of missions in the Resurrection of the Dead tournament. This can also explain why it is a small probability event for the apostles to encounter undead during the trial. Yuren lay on the ground. He could clearly feel that in the killings one after another, a certain part of him as a human being was being consumed bit by bit. Is she in another tower going through the same thing? Yulin closed his eyes, feeling the coldness of the desolate land behind him. Inadvertently, he recalled Miriam's sword filled with cold hatred when she returned as a war knight. No matter who it is, they will become like that after experiencing these successive killing fields. He. Yulin smiled. He didn't know how long he could hold on. But no matter what, he gritted his teeth and persisted. He once swore that he would crawl out of hell even if he had to step on a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. The 24 hours of rest is fleeting. After each mission, Yulin would lie on the ground and wait quietly for time to pass without doing anything else. When lying on the ground, even he felt like a corpse. With 1 hour left before the mission, Yulin sat up and crushed the upper level pass. He arrived at the 40th floor. In the black light pillar, green fireworks were lit, forming a simple and clear welcome. Welcome to the 40th floor. You can now teleport to the town of the dead by consuming points. In the town of the dead, as the undead, you can exchange your mission experiences to a certain extent. Perhaps, you can become good friends. Anyway, I look forward to your performance. Show that you are paralyzed. Yilin cursed skillfully in her mind. He retracted his previous thoughts. In the realm of the dead, Yilin still had things to do to pass the time. Cursing the superior god secretly was his only pastime. Town of the dead. Yilin muttered. He had been lying in the junction of the dead for a long and boring time. Now that he had opened a new map, he was indeed interested in seeing what kind of place it was. He was tired of looking at this damn barren landscape. There was even a small shabby house not far away that provided a place for the dead to rest. Yilin had never entered it even once. He felt that there was not much difference between sleeping in the open air and sleeping in a small hut. The same coldness, the same loneliness. Forget it, let's do the mission first. Yilin looked at the countdown in the black beam of light. There was less than half an hour left. He decided to wait until he returned from the mission before going to the town of the dead for sightseeing. There are 325 points left. There are 89 resurrection coins left. The above idea is not to set up a flag, but the undead don't have to worry about dying in a certain mission. Yilin's remaining resurrection coins are enough for him to squander. The countdown is over. Yilin's vision went dark, and his eyes were surrounded by a dark stream of light. In the black tunnel, Yilin enters the scene of the next mission. Yilin had experienced this situation hundreds of times. Yilin's expression was neither happy nor sad, and she even had a hint of expectation. Welcome to the Ruins battlefield. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, Bai Yi Xueshi. Chapter 1060. Battlefield Mission is a new undead mission type added when Yilin enters the 30th floor or above. There's nothing special about it. It's just that in a closed battlefield map, a varying number of undead are randomly transmitted and fight in the closed map. Yilin's last mission was the Poison Swamp battlefield. The disgusting thing about the Poisonous Swamp battlefield is that the entire battlefield is filled with poisonous fog. Accelerating breathing frequency, or even strenuous exercise, will intensify the absorption of poisonous mist as long as you breathe. That's not the only thing that's disgusting. Poison Swamp, Poisonous Swamp, of course not only the poison is disgusting, but also the swamp. Swamp terrain can greatly slow down the movement of the undead. If you accidentally fall into the swamp, you will be directly locked in place and left to be mermaid. Yilin had seen it with her own eyes. An undead who seemed to be on the melee side had exhausted his long-range means and was trapped in the swamp unable to move. Then, a passing archer lady took out arrows from behind her butt and shot them one after another. Arrows, shot to death alive. The ruined battlefield. The first line of text appeared, and Yilin pondered. This seemed to be a new battlefield map. It ignited. At the end of the dark stream, before landing, Yilin licked her lips excitedly. Welcome to the Ruins battlefield. You will see that this is a devastated ruins. The highly developed civilization allowed them to destroy themselves, leaving only this place. In the battlefield, you can use resurrection coins as you like. After dying 10 times or killing 10 enemy undead, you can choose to exit the Ruins battlefield. Every 600 seconds, a lucky person will be randomly selected with the lucky person as the center. An annihilation circle with a diameter of 100 meters will be generated, destroying everything in the annihilation circle. Every time a circle of annihilation appears, the area of the battlefield ruins map will be reduced by 5%, and the undead located outside the edge of the ruins battlefield map will die on the spot. Every time you kill an undead, you will get a bonus of add 2 points. Every time you get a battlefield honor, you will get a bonus of 10 points. Acquiring battlefield honor 5 times in a row will become a battlefield Easter egg, and the location of the battlefield Easter egg will be immediately notified to all surviving undead. Killing the battlefield Easter egg can earn 100 points at one time. After the battlefield Easter egg dies, the battlefield honors except first blood will be reset. Currently the remaining undead are 1000. Looking forward to your performance. Pillars of light fell from the sky. Landed. In the beam of light, the body of the undead turned from illusion to reality. Each undead has a pale mask on its face, covering its face. Call. Within a second of landing, Yilin noticed the wind blowing behind him, and someone who was not ethical in martial arts launched a sneak attack. Pain. Relying on her feeling, Yilin shrank her neck, lowered her head and dodged the knife. A blurry shadow flashed in his vision. Thousands of killings have created Yilin's reaction far beyond that of an apostle. Now, even on the mental side, he has good melee abilities. A skill was thrown out to sneak attack Yilin's undead. Before he could change his position in mid-air, he was shaken all over and his eyes rolled up. He seemed to be having an epileptic attack. He was twitching non-stop and a lot of foam was sprayed from the corners of his mouth. Like a stranded crab. For ordinary undead, the disaster-haunted unlocked by quick reading is enough to deal with it. Yilin crushed an advanced weapon card, and a cool-looking gun blade appeared in Yilin's hand. He took 2 steps forward, without saying a word, pulled the knife horizontally, and the light of the knife passed across his neck, and the undead soul the head flew up and was cut off in confusion. Control first and then cut off the head. It does not consume much spiritual energy. It has a high probability of instantly killing the undead caught off guard. 800 undead, not even Qian'er, died from this combo of attacks. Yiren is very skilled. After level 30, the undead mall starts selling advanced weapon cards. Advanced weapon card is different from the weapons used by the new undead. After purchasing this prop card, you can set your own weapon format in advance, and just crush the card and use it on the spot. There are 2 points worth noting. Advanced weapons, you can specify the type of weapons to be generated. There are 3 types: short range, long range, and disposable grenades. All advanced weapons are standard equipment. As the name suggests, these weapons can only provide the basic functions of weapons, such as sharpness, durability, strike strength, etc., and have no other special skills. Melee weapons are durable, and ranged weapons will periodically generate bullets or arrows at intervals. Yilin's 10 card slots hold 8 different advanced weapon cards. When the spiritual undead are on the battlefield, how to rationally use their spiritual energy value is the key to determining whether the spiritual undead can survive longer on the battlefield. There is a trigger on the handle of gunblade, which can shoot large caliber bullets in the chamber. 10 bullets of this type can be generated every time the magazine is loaded. At the end of the gun barrel, a 28 cm long single-sided sharp edge extends. Although it is a bit short, it can be used near or far. For Yilin, it is very practical. The spiritual undead have a natural advantage in the accuracy of long-range weapons. First blood. First drop of blood. A piercing scream sounded in the sky. Everyone heard the sound. I don't know if it was his bad luck or his own misfortune, but Yilin won the only battlefield honor in the entire battlefield at the beginning. First blood is obtained by the first undead slayer. It seems that Yilin interacts with the unlucky undead a lot. But in fact, from landing, to the opponent's sneak attack, to Yilin's successful counterattack, the whole process was neat and tidy, taking only 3 seconds. 3 seconds after landing, Yilingxi received her first battlefield honor. It was so easy that it was like giving it away for nothing. Following everything like a shadow. Shadow kill. Yulin turned into a shadow that no one could notice, carefully staying in the shadow of the ruins and blending into the shadow. He began to look at his surroundings. Finding cover and a safe place to stay as soon as possible after landing is a compulsory course for an apostle. Even if he becomes an undead now, the habits he has developed over the years will be difficult to change. This is a dilapidated ruin. Most of the ruins are soaked in stinking dirty water. The ruins are broken and crooked. Some of them are embedded in the ground, and only part of them is exposed on the surface. Collapsed high-rise buildings tilted at different angles, and vehicles covered with rust lay scattered in the ruins. The sky was filled with light smoke, the smoke was purple, and the light was dim. 2 green moons hang in 2 directions in the night sky, providing ample vision and light. Yulin followed the outer wall of the building to a viewing point several hundred meters high. Far, far away from the edge, there is a cover visible to the naked eye, covering the ruins soaked in sewage. This is the map area mentioned in the mission prompt. The area he is in now is not bad, but it is located to one side of the center of the map. Even if the map is zoomed out, it will not be able to shrink to his side for a while. This is a cruel battlefield with 1,000 undead. In the battlefield missions, there are no decryption elements. If you disagree, you will just do it and start fighting without saying a word. Snapped. Despair. Boom. Rumble. Explosions, collapsing buildings, gunshots, and shouts came from all directions. As Yulin observed the terrain and situation, the undead began to fight mercilessly in every corner of the battlefield map. Either duel or melee, there are no rules, no mercy, just pure fighting, so that the battlefield map becomes a chaotic situation in a short time. It's time for me to start working. Yulin nodded calmly and started to move. Although the rules are somewhat complicated, they are not difficult to analyze. The core of the rules is killing, and the purpose of the undead is to find a balance between surviving and killing enemies to earn more points. But in the process of killing, additional rules can bring different fun to the above. Yulin did not join in the fierce team battle, but specifically picked out the sniper who was behind the scenes. There is a part of the mental side, holding bows and arrows, holding sniper rifles, squatting between high-rise buildings, secretly firing cold shots. Yulin locked eyes on each of the old men, came behind them, raised the knife and dropped it. As the saying goes, the mantis stalks the cicada, with the oriole behind. Yulin decided to be the hunter at the top of the food chain. Double kill. Double kill. Triple kill. 3 kills. Quadra kill. 4 kills. Yulin pulled out the standard dagger from her waist and threw it away. Shadow Blade. After retrieving 4 Apostle Core data fragments, most of Yulin's abilities are in a usable state. Except for the unsatisfactory attributes, his fighting method is compared with the past, that is, the consumption of spiritual energy needs to be higher. With some minor adjustments, everything else is fine. His shadow was attached to the dagger, and he moved quickly in a strange way among the tall buildings. After taking action, he continued to complete the kill within 30 seconds, extending the battlefield honor. Yulin easily won the 4 kills honor. In addition to the free first blood at the beginning, he has now obtained 4 battlefield honors. Adding 1 more will make him a battlefield Easter egg. The old man who was killed by Yulin didn't even see Yulin's face. When the back of his head hurt or his neck felt cold, he was randomly resurrected somewhere else. It's almost 10 minutes. Yulin maintained his own rhythm in every move he made. He could even count 600 seconds silently while calculating. The rules clearly state that every 600 seconds, a lucky person will be randomly selected, and a circle of annihilation will be drawn with the lucky person as the center, etc. Yulin was thinking about the special features of the battlefield rules. When his thoughts fell on the word lucky man, he was suddenly startled. He remembered clearly that after fusing 4 Apostle Core data fragments, his luck value plummeted to the lower limit of 0.1 during his lifetime. After being stunned for half a second, Yilin's expression suddenly changed and she cursed. Grass. Boom. The next second, with Yilin as the center, a dazzling light, an illusory purple ball of light 100 meters in diameter, completely annihilated everything around it. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 1061. You died. At the same time, on the battlefield, within a 100-meter sphere, dozens of undead suddenly felt as if they had been bombarded by missiles, and their vision went black. The fonts skillfully drawn in front of them made them understand the reason for their suddenly black screen. Died. It's the circle of annihilation. At the same time, the 1,000 undead still alive on the battlefield, whether they were strangling their necks, picking out their eyes, or throwing knives, when the dazzling light lit up in the center of the battlefield, there the movements paused for a moment. All the undead looked in the direction of the light. A purple ball of light appeared out of thin air, annihilating everything within 100 meters. The light flickered on and off, leaving a terrifying hemispherical hole in the middle of the ruins of a dilapidated high-rise building. The edge of the pothole was as smooth as a mirror, as if it had been swung around by a cutting machine. Hiss. Nearly 1,000 gasps. Yilin is randomly resurrected on the battlefield map. He was in a room with a hole in his head. The room was tilted at a 40-degree angle. Yilin sipped on the wall and peeked through the broken window. The place where the annihilation circle wreaked havoc was not far away. He could see it at a glance. Did you tell me this is a circle? This is obviously a sphere, right? The area covered by the annihilation ring is not a circular area with a diameter of 100 meters at all, but a spherical volume with a diameter of 100 meters. What a cheat! Yilin spent 1 resurrection coin. Resurrection coins are the most precious resource in the Resurrection of the Dead tournament, bar none. Yilin has now reached the 40th floor and has not found any other way to obtain resurrection coins. As you get to higher levels, there are not many resurrection coins left for the undead, and they don't dare to commit suicide at will. There is no weak person who can pass the numerous tasks and reach the 40th floor. All undead are battle-hardened. No matter which side it was, after they witnessed the power of the annihilation circle with their own eyes, they unanimously understood the key to it. After the annihilation circle is spawned, the map area will shrink. Even though this mere 100 meters only occupies a small area of the battlefield map, what about after several annihilation circles? The map area has been greatly reduced, or there are fewer and fewer undead left on the battlefield, so the probability of the annihilation circle being brushed on oneself is invisibly magnified countless times. This is the real crisis hidden under the rules. Kill. After a moment of shock, the battlefield was like boiling water, and the undead began to fight for their lives. There are only 2 ways to leave the battlefield. 1. Die 10 times and exit as a loser. 2. Kill 10 people and return as a winner with your head held high. No one wants to waste 10 resurrection coins in this place. Well, there's only one thing they can do. Kill. 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 The atmosphere in the battlefield was pushed to a climax. The undead who were still wary and reserved their strength at the beginning launched their ultimate moves one after another, no longer holding back their strength. Skill lights of different colors exploded on the battlefield. One after another, the undead fell down in the chaotic fighting and were instantly resurrected elsewhere. This battlefield is like a meat grinder. People are dying and being resurrected every moment. Yilin was confused. His abilities have almost recovered, and he is particularly suitable for melee combat. He harvested in the chaos, and before the second annihilation circle spawned, he had already taken 8 heads. Only 2 were left before he could leave the battlefield. The rules of this circle of annihilation are really confusing. Although there is no evidence, Yilin has every reason to suspect that this so-called lucky person is selected based on the luck value to a large extent. He almost fell below the lower limit of lucky value 0.1, which was probably the lowest in the game. Ren still had this negligible confidence. So, there is a high probability that the next time the annihilation circle hits him, should you go or stay? According to normal thinking, to be on the safe side, Lin should have gathered 10 heads and left this cheating place before the next annihilation circle was created. But he always felt that if he left like this, the situation would be too small. Really small. Narrow. Experience tells him that even if there is a danger that can kill him instantly, as long as he can predict it in advance, there is a high possibility that he can take advantage of the danger in turn. He has a bold idea. Fight. It's a waste of a resurrection coin. I have more resurrection coins, so I can afford it. Let's make the layout bigger and bigger. Call out. A blinding beam of light fell from the sky. This is not the circle of annihilation. But on the battlefield, someone else accumulated 5 battlefield achievements and became an Easter egg. The light beam fell and lasted for 3 full seconds before going out silently. But who is still alive is not the senior Yin B. They did not say anything and moved in the direction of the Easter egg. Even if the Easter egg cannot be killed, there must be chaos around the Easter egg. Only with chaos can there be a chance to fish in troubled waters. Lin naturally went too. He threw out the dagger and moved back and forth like a flash of light. This method of fast movement does not consume much spiritual energy and is economical. However, this method of movement must be wary of masters who are good at melee combat, because even if he can control the movement of the dagger on the way, there is a high probability that the landing point of the movement will be predicted in advance if he encounters an undead who is really good at melee combat. Lin stood 10 meters in the air, looking down. There were many extraordinary spiritual sides, like Lin, who arrived at the scene in the air and watched with cold eyes. All the undead wear masks, and no one knows who is behind the mask. In this way, even if everyone recognizes an acquaintance from lifetime, they can treat them as strangers and kill them. In the center of the Easter egg, there is a woman covered in blood, wielding 2 long knives, struggling to resist attacks from all sides. She was immersed in slashing, her sword skills were sharp, and when the 2 swords were dancing, others could hardly see the movement of the blades. 2 heaven's first-rate secrets, all directions will be destroyed. The dark cross-shaped sword light chopped a crumbling building into pieces, raising dust all over the sky. The double-sword apostle was panting. She had withstood many attacks and was at the end of her strength. She took advantage of the moment when the smoke obscured the vision of all the undead, quickly dodged, and used the smoke to evacuate. This sword skill, is it her? In mid-air, Lin's eyes flickered. Even though the other person was wearing a mask, Lin and Oda Mai had fought side by side many times. The familiar moves and crisp steps made Lin even though he was in another world and had spent several years together. 10 years later, the other party's actions instantly brought back Lin's memories. It's Oda Mai. She's dead too? Wrong. Lin shook his head and put this thought away. The world of the undead is not as simple as imagined. The Oda dance in front of her may not be that Oda dance that Lin is familiar with. From each time artifact, the death of the dead are extracted and gathered here to form this huge stage. According to Oda Mai's temperament and unparalleled style, it would not be surprising if she died in a certain trial if she had not met him. Or perhaps, the Oda Mai in front of her came from the era of the raging nights of the apocalypse. In that era, too many people died, and it would not be surprising for anyone to appear here. Smoke and dust filled the air. Not settled yet. The snipers, archers, and artillerymen in the distance lost their targets. So they directly attacked the undead who came from all over to take advantage of the chaos. For a moment, bullets and skills were flying around. The bullets penetrated the bodies of the undead, causing blood and flesh to fly. Grass. Him. Court death. The undead who were hit by long-range attacks were not vegetarians. Now that they had lost the trace of the Easter egg and were attacked from a distance, the melee apostles were angry at the same time. In an instant, they judged the direction of the long-range attack. They stepped on the ruins, quickly climbed up, and killed them back. Boom, boom, boom. The battlefield became more chaotic, and tall buildings collapsed one after another. Someone smashed the high-rise building with one punch, knocking down the snipers dormant on the high-rise building like shaking a coconut, surrounded them, and beat them to death with random punches. Let's get back to the Easter eggs. After accumulating 5 battlefield honors and becoming an Easter egg, Oda took advantage of the chaos and hid in a 100-story building. In the sky. The extraordinary spiritual side, who was watching coldly, immediately locked onto Oda, who was moving quickly on the floor, in their own way, and lurked up secretly. 1 minute later. This building with the Easter egg has become the main battlefield of the ruins battlefield, with hundreds of undead fighting inside. Perception. The telekinesis perceptions of the digital extraordinary spiritual undead collided between floors and interfered with each other. Several transcendent-level psychics simultaneously noticed that others were eyeing the Easter egg and had different thoughts in their minds. Some people planned to forcefully score points, while others planned to protect themselves wisely. Hua hua hua. Although the collision of telekinesis was intangible, the already crumbling high-rise building was even worse, with pieces of concrete peeling off downwards. 73rd floor. Boom. A powerful vibration swept through the floor, and a whole circle of glass and load-bearing columns exploded at the same time. Boom. The floors above the 73rd floor suddenly collapsed. Yulin approaches from the outside, and Oda Mai and another spiritual side are fighting to the death. They penetrated from the 73rd floor to the 62nd floor. The mental side that was fighting Oda Mai had a fat body. He let out a weird laugh, slapped his hands on his belly, and made a dong-dong sound like a drum. The moment the fat undead patted his belly, Oda Wu raised his swords and blocked them in front of him. The sharp shock wave, centered on the belly of the impact point, spread forward in a fan shape, destroying everything along the way. Oda Mai slashed out from bottom to top with her double swords, splitting the invisible sound wave impact from the middle. She gritted her teeth, thinking that she might not be able to keep the resurrection coin. She exerted force with her right foot, the floor collapsed, and she slashed at the opponent with a knife. But at this moment, Oda Mai was slightly startled. Beside the fat undead's neck, a gun blade appeared silently. The sharp gun blade circled around the chubby flesh, and the fat undead's head fell to the ground with a thud. Cooperate. Yulin didn't talk nonsense. The gun blade blocked Oda Mai's knife with 7 points of strength. Behind the undead mask, Yulin asked 2 words tentatively in an uncertain tone.